Hi and welcome. Today I'm going to be answering the question of, can you use any type of microphone to record to your smartphone? And the answer is, yes you can, but there is a bit of a caveat. First, your phone has got to have a USB-C port, and secondly, it's got to be compatible with OTG technology. Now, normally I record these videos with my Canon EOS R6 camera. However, today I'm using my Samsung A53 5G phone. The reason for that is so that you can hear each of the different setups that I'm going to show you. Now, before we move on, could I ask a favor? It would help me a huge amount here on YouTube if you would like, share, and subscribe. With having said that, let's move on. The first option is a headphone adapter, and this works with lavalier microphones. It's got a USB-C connector at this end and a 3.5mm smartphone jack connector at this end. You can plug your lavalier mic. I'm currently using the Boya BY-M1. That's got a smartphone jack on the end, and you'd plug that into this connector. Those jacks are also called TRRS jacks, and you can tell because they've got 3 black rings on them. If you're using a TRS jack lavalier microphone, that's something like a Rode Lavalier Go, and that's got just 2 black rings on it. Then you'll also need to get a TRS to TRRS adapter, plug that into this end of the headphone adapter, and then in the other end, plug your lavalier microphone. Now, the one drawback of this method is that you can't monitor your audio on headphones. And when it comes to listening back to your recording, you've got to unplug the lavalier microphone, plug in headphones into the connector, and then listen. And if you need to do a second take, then unplug the headphones and plug your lavalier microphone back in. My next setup has got that problem solved. I'm currently recording to my smartphone using my Zoom H5 handy recorder. Now, what a lot of people don't appreciate is that you can use these handy recorders, and it's not just the H5, you can use these handy recorders as audio interfaces. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, which means that I can, if I plugged in my headphones into the headphone socket, I could monitor live and also hear the playback from my smartphone through the headphones through the H5. Now, currently I'm using the XY microphones that are on the top of the H5 recorder. However, you've got other options. You could plug in a lavalier microphone into the side of the capsule. Plus, you've got the XLR sockets on the base just there. So let's try that. I'm no longer using the XY microphones on the H5 recorder because I've plugged in this Fifine 669D microphone. It's a dynamic microphone, and I've plugged that into the H5 recorder, and the recorder is plugged into my smartphone. So this is using an XLR dynamic microphone. However, we can go one step further. Because the H5 can supply a phantom power, I can also use an XLR condenser microphone, like this Samsung CO2 microphone. However, there is another way that I can connect an XLR microphone to my smartphone, and that's by using this wee fella, the Shure MVX2U audio interface. I've now plugged the MVX2U into the base of this dynamic microphone and then connected it to my smartphone using a USB cable. Now, this device is like 3 things in one. It's an audio interface, so I can plug headphones into the base of this, listen to the audio in real time with 0 latency, and also listen to the playback from my smartphone through the device. It's also a phantom power supply, so I can turn on the 48-volt phantom power supply and use a condenser microphone instead of this dynamic microphone. And thirdly, it's a mic preamp with up to 60 dB of gain. So if I was using a dynamic microphone with a really low gain, I could boost that using the internal mic preamp. Now, although I'm using a dynamic mic here, I could also use this Sennheiser ME66, a condenser mic, because this little device can provide phantom power. However, the Shure MVX2U isn't cheap. But this USB to XLR cable is cheap. And the reason it's cheap is because it doesn't have a lot of the functionality and the build quality of the Shure MVX2U. This doesn't have a mic preamp built into it, or if it does, it's not very much gain, and it also doesn't have phantom power. All it does is it connects your XLR microphone to your device, and in this case you'll notice that I'm still using this condenser microphone. Now, the reason I can use this condenser microphone with this cable is because this is self-powered. This Sennheiser ME66 can take a AA battery, and that provides the phantom power for the microphone. The other reason why I'm using this microphone and not the dynamic microphone is because this is probably one of my mics that has got the highest output. And unfortunately, dynamic mics don't have a high output. So I can use this XLR to USB cable with a high output microphone. I'll show you what happens when I take this off and reconnect the Shure PG48, which is a dynamic microphone. I've now connected the Shure PG48 back again, and because it is a dynamic microphone, the output level is low, and you can hear that the XLR to USB cable isn't providing very much gain at all, if any. So this wouldn't be my recommended option if you're using a dynamic microphone with a low output. My final method of connecting a microphone to the smartphone is probably the obvious one. You've got a USB port on the phone, so use a USB microphone. This is the Mauno PD400X, and I've got it connected to the phone using a USB-C cable. Now, the microphone effectively has an audio interface inside it, so I can plug headphones into it and monitor myself in real time with zero latency, and also I can listen to a playback from my phone through those headphones as well. However, not all USB microphones have got that functionality. For instance, you could have something like this. It's the Fifine 669B, and it doesn't have a microphone port in at all. And I'll demonstrate this one in just a moment. I'm now using the Fifine 669B microphone, and it has a USB-A cable. You can't change this cable, it goes into the microphone, so I've had to use the adapter again to go from USB-A to USB-C and then into the phone. But you can see that this is working. Unfortunately, I can't monitor my sound and I can't listen to the playback, but it does work. If you don't need to monitor yourself, then this works perfectly fine. So you've seen lots of different ways of connecting lots of different types of microphones to your smartphone. Now, the caveat again is that it has to have a USB port, and that it is compatible with OTG technology. But otherwise, you can use almost any kind of microphone with a modern smartphone. I have got other related videos that you might want to watch. I'll put links up at the end of this one. If you found this video useful and would like to support this channel, then check out the links down in the description. Otherwise, please like, share and subscribe. It would help me out an awful lot. Until next time, thanks for watching and keep creating.